10 away from 9. Good to have you with us here on eNCA. You're probably a little bit like me and wondering, with the fuel prices at record highs, is it maybe a good idea to consider swapping out their fuel-guzzling cars for more efficient vehicles? But is it as a good idea as we might convince ourselves it is? Maya Fisher-French joining us for a quick look at personal finance. Hello to you, Maya. So when it comes down to being the person that makes a choice to downsize, it sounds like a good idea on paper, but is it really such a wise decision to make?
I've had so many people saying, oh, I've got to get rid of my car, I've got to get rid of my cars. I've been running some numbers. So I think that the first point to make is that if you are in the market anyway to buy a new car, you were planning on buying a car this year, then obviously you want a fuel-efficient car, right? That's like, 101. But be very careful if you are buying a new car about getting into this idea that you need to spend another 100,000 more than your budget because you must get a hybrid because that will save you money over the long term. Because if, for example, if you're spending 100,000 Rand and you're financing that over 5 years, you're spending 33,000 Rand on interest. So that extra spend to get the more fuel-efficient car is costing you about 133,000 Rand. And it's going to be actually difficult to get that back on fuel savings. So I don't want to be a killjoy. I hate being killjoy, but if you really, really believe in fuel efficiency, just buy a less expensive car that's naturally light on fuel. But the one I'm seeing more frequently is people, the car that's maybe 2 years old, and they're saying, well, let me trade it in and get a more fuel efficient car. And you've got to look at the numbers because it may not make sense. It's actually quite hard to trade in a 2-year-old car for the value that it is actually worth, especially now when people don't want gas guzzling cars. And maybe it's just makes more financial sense to change your driving habits at this stage. Lift sharing, planning your trips better, not speeding, and then just make sure that the next car that you buy is more fuel efficient.
Well, exactly. We're going to talk about the actual saving each month if you opt for a more fuel efficient car as well. But I suppose the point as well is it depends how long you've had your car as well, because I've seen a lot of people panicking. And if I was a car dealership that traded in second-hand vehicles, I would be very happy right now to jump on that bandwagon. But I suppose in the end it depends how long you've actually had your vehicle, because you probably haven't even paid off the interest if you've only had it for a couple of years as well. Let's talk about the efficiency though as well. Have you done any kind of maths? Because I'm not smart enough, I can't work out these numbers. How much you're actually saving if you opt for a more fuel-efficient car?
So I did this on my own car because I went through this process. I'm thinking, does it make sense? So one of our cars, it uses about 9 litres per 100. And I thought, okay, I could downsize. You could get a less expensive car fuel. Maybe it's sort of 6 litres per 100. So I did the numbers. I thought, well, how much would I be saving per month? We drive about 1,500 kilometers a month in that car. So the maths works out at about, I'll give you the calculations by WhatsApp later, but basically it works out at about 45 litres a month that we'll save if we went from 9 litres per 100 to 6 litres per 100. And that's about 950 Rand a month on fuel, which sounds a lot. I mean, I'd love to put nearly 1,000 bucks back in my pocket. But over 5 years, and most of us, when we buy a new car, we think of the 5-year. It's a 5-year investment. And that will save me about 57,000 Rand over that period. So if I can sell my car and buy a car for a similar price, that's one thing. But if I'm going to have to pay in 50 or 60,000 Rand, especially if I have to finance it, then that doesn't really make sense. So it does depend on how many kilometers you drive a month. So obviously the more kilometers you drive, the bigger the saving. And then obviously your current fuel consumption. So if you may be sitting on a real gas guzzler at 12 litres per 100 and you can go and buy a little run around for 6 litres, then it can start maybe to make sense. But when I ran the numbers, I thought, the 57,000, who's going to want my 9 litre per 100 car? It probably doesn't make sense at this stage.
All right, as I say goodbye to you, let's see if I can give Maya a heart attack. I won't tell you what vehicle I'm driving. Maya, maybe you can work this out for me. Go have some fun with this. I'm currently doing 13.9 litres per 100 kilometers. Yeah, that's the reaction. That is the reaction I thought Maya might give me. Maya Fisher-French, thank you very much for making me feel bad about how badly I drive. We'll chat to you again in a couple of days' time as well. It's good advice, though, if you're looking at maybe downscaling. Do the numbers. Maya's done it for you. Just be very careful before you take that plunge. Maya, thank you, as always, for your time. All right.